Hello again, gamers. Welcome back to the Board Game Captain. I'm the Board Game Captain.
I'm Lynn.
And today we're going to be reviewing and showing you how to play and talking about Raccoon Tycoon. So Raccoon Tycoon is published by Forbidden Games and was designed by Glenn Drover. So this is a light to middleweight economic game where you are doing commodities, trading, and speculation, as well as bidding on railroads and buying settlements to eventually wind up with the most points at the end of the game. This is definitely like a economic / Euro game through and through. Would you agree to that?
Yeah.
But with anthropomorphic animals. Hence Raccoon Tycoon. Now the game is listed as 60 to 90 minutes. It's for 2 to 5 players. It has a complexity rating of 2 out of 5 with a strategy rating of 4 out of 5. And it's for ages 14 and up. So we're going to start right there. Now, what is your opinion on the 60 to 90 minutes? Because I would say the 2-player game comes in, actually, especially once you played at least once.
I think we played... Yeah, I think the first time we played the 2-player game, it was around an hour.
Okay. So yeah, all right then. I would agree then with the 60 to 90 minutes. Turns are really fast in this.
Yeah, because you only do one thing.
Yeah, you do one thing and you move on. So I would agree with that. Now, 2 to 5 players. So here's a fun spot. So this game plays at 2, 3, 4, and 5 players. We've tried it at a couple different player sizes, including 2 and 5. And I happen to know, having talked to Glenn, he is not a big fan of how this game plays at 5, but at 2. He's not a big fan of how this game plays at 2 players, but I thoroughly disagree with him. I think this game plays just as well at 2 players as it does it. It's a little different, but I really like it at 2 players.
Yeah.
And I mean, well, why don't you say? You said you liked it more.
I preferred at 2 players. I didn't like it at all at 5 players.
So you like less is more with this one.
Less people is always better.
So now, as for, I mean, the complexity and the strategy rating are a bit tough because that's not something you normally have on games, but 2 out of 5 makes it sound easy, and this is a fairly easy game to learn. You just have to learn what the different possible actions are you can do in your turn, and you're okay. And as for strategy rating of 4, there definitely is a lot of strategy in here into what you do when. So I guess I would agree with those. As for the ages 14 and up, I disagree with this one because this game is so easy. I think you could go significantly lower.
Yeah, I think a 12-year-old could play this. I'm
going to go even lower and say 10. I think this could be considered a family-weight economic game. I would be totally fine playing this with 10-year-olds. Maybe not one giant group of 10-year-olds, but, you know, if you have a 10-year-old in it, yeah, or 2 10-year-olds in the group, yeah, I'd be fine with it. So let's have a look at what stuff comes in the box when you buy a copy of Raccoon Tycoon. So first off, you have the rule book. Now, the rule book is full color printing. It has tons of diagrams to show you how to do things, which is really good. It's very well done, generally speaking. No real complaints on it. Total of 15 pages, including full explanations of all the different building tiles and optional rules, etc. Because there's actually a lot in here. There's a lot of cool optional rules, different things you can do. And then there's a cheat sheet on the back. And I originally thought I was going to complain that there was only one cheat sheet. It was on the back of the book, but once you go through a couple turns, you realize what the actions are, and it's actually really easy. I figured you only need the cheat sheet for the first time you play. After that,
we didn't even really use it the first time.
No, it's pretty easy. The next thing is the board. So here's one place where I want to rave about this game, because the board is gorgeous. The production in this game, in regard to the artwork in general, is absolutely beautiful. So this is the picture from the cover of the box. Just zoomed in a little bit, but I really like it. I think it looks gorgeous for the back of the board. It makes it look dynamic and interesting. I like you have a bunch of the anthropomorphic animals down here. There's a little raccoon going for a walk. There's a couple bears that are cheffing wheat.
Ferrets or
I think those are the cats. Those are 2 cats over there going for a stroll. There's some buildings, and then up here you have the board is mainly a space holder for all the decks, the buildings, and the commodities to show you how much they're worth. Next, we have tons of these awesome wooden bits for commodities here. These are fantastic. I love wooden bits for commodities. These look really great. They feel substantial. I love chunky wooden bits. And I really appreciate their decision to do the wood as 3 logs stacked on each other so they don't roll around. There's some other games where wood that we've played where the wood is just one log of wood. Yeah, and it'll roll around the table. Okay. The tiles for the buildings look nice. They each one has an illustration of a building on it, which is pretty cool. They're cardboard punch-out tiles. They're linen finish. They're thick and chunky. But, you know, if you've seen cardboard punch-out tiles, you've probably seen them all. Then we've got the first player token, which is crazy extra in how amazing it is. It's this big, chunky raccoon with a lantern. And this is the first player token, and this is awesome. This is an above and beyond type component. It's just, I mean, it's totally not necessary, but definitely you're not going to miss noticing who it is first. Now, in regard to the cards, I do want to draw attention to the fact that the artwork, again, on the cards is absolutely gorgeous. I mean, these are just fantastic, fantastic artwork on these cards. Before I owned this game, I had actually owned some production copies of some of these bits of artwork, and they're up on a wall in my house. That's how much I like the artwork in this game. They're really, really beautiful. Phenomenal. I cannot rave enough about how great the artwork is in this game. Then we've got paper money. The money's got a bit of like a glossy finish, a light lamination on it. Makes it a little tougher than normal paper money, but it is paper money. I know some people have issues with that. I don't think it's that big a deal here because you do need lots and lots of money. I mean, I would have preferred coins, mind you, but I think these are fine. I mean, what's your opinion on the paper money?
I think that, well, I think it's functional and it's fine. I don't know. It didn't bother me.
Well, there you go. So, without any further ado, we're going to head over to the table, and we're going to run you through a few turns of how to play this game. We're going to show you all the different actions you can take, and explain scoring before we come back, and we're going to talk about how this game feels, and we're going to rate it and review it. Okay, so here you can see a setup for a 2-player game of Raccoon Tycoon. So the first thing you do when you're setting up is you shuffle up the price and production cards. Lynn, point to that deck for me. And you deal 3 cards to each player. You then set the starting prices for each commodity at the lowest possible value and put the commodities all out next to the board here. Everybody gets $10 to start with, and the rest of the money is put next to the board. We create the railroad deck by removing cards based on how many players you're playing, shuffling it up, and dealing out 2 possible railroads to be bidded on. In a 2-player game, there are only 3 different railroad companies in here, which are Big Bear, Fat Cat, and Top Dog. And you can see we have a Big Bear and a Top Dog railroad up each. Then the next thing you do is you create the town deck. In a 2-player game, you remove 1 each of each valued town, which are 2, 3, 4, and 5. Each is worth that many victory points, plus some extra victory points that I'll explain when we're doing the scoring at the end of this tutorial. And then you shuffle it up, you shuffle each group up by its own value, and you place them in value order. So the top few are going to be value 2, then 3, then 4, then 5. Now, in a 3 or 4-player game, you do not remove any of the towns. Then you shuffle up the starting tiles, and for each of those tiles, the starting tiles, they're just tiles that give you more of a particular resource, and when upgraded, could give you 2 more of that particular resource every time you get resources. 4 of those are put out to start with, and the full tile deck is shuffled up with the advanced tiles and placed here. The extra starting tiles are removed from the game. You decide who the starting player will be randomly. We decided Lynn was going to be the starting player, so she has the big starting player token over there. That is a raccoon. And the starting player gets 1 resource of their choice. The next player, which would be me, gets 2 resources of their choice, but they must be different. And if you're playing with more than 2 players, the next player gets 3 and 4 and, you know, possibly 5 respectively. Then you're ready to go. Now, on each of your turns, when it is your turn to go, you take 1 action. That's it. And then the next player goes. And your possible actions are production, which helps you get resources, selling of commodities, that helps you trade in resources for money, railroad auctioning, which helps you get one of the railroads that is available, purchasing a building, which allows you to get one of these building tiles that are out here, or purchasing a town, which you can do by purchasing the town over there. So to save time, we're going to explain each one of these as they come up. So the first time we do each of these actions, we will explain how it works. So Lynn, why don't you start us off?
I'm going to play a production card.
So show the card to the camera so we can explain it. So now you see here, the production card has a top area that says price and a bottom area that says production. So the way that works is each symbol on the top area, the value of that commodity goes up the number of times it appears in the price area. Then Lynn will get to take up to 3 of the goods shown on the bottom. In this case, there are only 3 goods shown. So she's going to make those. So which ones go up in value?
Wheat goes up twice.
Okay.
Coal goes up once. Goods goes up once.
Okay, and then what goods are you getting?
A wheat, a wood, and a luxury goods.
Okay, so I'm going to pass that over to you, and that is it for that action. Now, for my first action, I'm going to build a building. So I'm going to take a look at what's over there, and I'm going to build a 6 value building. It is the vineyard, which costs 6, but then every time I get goods, like how Lynn just did, I'll get 1 extra good of specifically luxury items. So I'm going to put my 6 money in the bank. I'm going to take this and put it in front of me to keep track of it. And then I'm going to flip up the next available building.
I'm going to pay 2 wood to buy Beaver Ford.
Now, show that one to the camera. Beaver Ford is as you see there, it says either 2 wood or 4 of any commodities. So the 2 wood was the cheapest way to buy it, and Lynn just purchased it. And as you see there, Beaver Ford is worth 2 points, plus 2 points if you match it up with a railroad. You get bonus points for having basically equal number of railroads and towns. We'll go into that in more detail and flip up a new town. I'm going to play this card. I'm going to get some resources. So this card here, as you see, it's going to up the value of wheat by 2. It's going to up the value of goods by 1 and up the value of luxury goods by 1. So Lynn, help me out with that. And then I get 1 coal, 1 luxury goods, and 1 wheat from it. But because of my vineyard, I also get plus 1 luxury goods, which means I get 2 luxury goods. I get 1 coal, and I get 1 wheat. And I'm going to discard that card, and Lynn will pass me a new one from the top of the deck, and that's it for my action.
I'm going to call an auction.
Oh, that was fast.
For Top Dog.
Top Dog, huh? In a 3 or 4 or 5 player game, this works like a regular auction and goes around the table. Everybody takes a turn outbidding each other. They can keep doing it again until they pass. Once they pass, they're out of the bidding. But in a 2-player game, you each can only bid once. So since Lynn has called the bid, she will tell me how much money she's willing to pay for Top Dog. I decide whether or not I'm going to pay for it. Now, this is an early bid. Nobody has any yet, so she can probably get away with a fairly low bid. And then, if I want to outbid her, I would bid more than her, and I would get it instead. Now, if Lynn doesn't get the auction she called, if she doesn't get the item, she gets to take another action. And that action can even be to call another auction. So this can be a good way to make your opponent spend some money so that then you have all the money available for the next auction. So, Lynn, how much are you bidding on Top Dog? 6. And yeah, I'm going to let her have it because actually, and this is not public knowledge, you don't have to publicly share your money, I've only got $4 right now. I'm a little cash poor. So, oh, a fat cat came up. Okay. For my turn, I'm going to play this card here to get myself resources. It ups the value of wood and as well as luxury goods by 1 each. And then there are 4 resources for me to choose from. And that is in addition to the 1 free one I get from my vineyard. So I'm going to get one luxury good from my vineyard. And then from this card, I'm going to take 2 more luxury goods and a wood, which is very nice, gets me lots. Now I'm getting quite close to my maximum number of resources here because everyone has a resource cap of 10 resources plus 1 per building you have. I have 10 resources here and I only have 1 building, which means since I can only have 1 more, if I were to get more resources next turn, I would have to immediately discard some, which means on my next turn, it will be make it or break it time for me to figure out what I'm going to use these resources for.
I'm going to spend $4 to buy the lumber yard.
Ooh, okay. Nice. So on my turn, now realizing that I really do need to get some money and get rid of some of my resources, I've got quite a bit of the luxury goods, which are currently at, I believe, $5 a share. Is that right?
Yes.
So I got 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, $30 worth of luxury goods. I'm going to trade them all in. And now what happens is I get to sell them at the current value of the goods, which is $5 a share. But then the value of the shares will go down equal to the number I sold, minimum the lowest value on the board. So that'll bring it all the way down to the lowest value. But of course, then I will get $30, and I don't care about the fact that it's lost all its value, as I just sold all of mine off, so it's fine.
I'm going to play this card, which has wheat, wood,
And goods.
go up, and I'm going to get 1 wood for my bonus building, and 3 iron, please.
3
Well, actually,
iron.
2 iron and 1 coal.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Well, I'm not questioning your possible 3 iron, but actually it makes sense because that's right. You need 2 iron to get that building that's out there, don't you? So I'm probably going to miss out on that. On my turn, I'm going to do a building action, and rather than buy a new building, what I'm going to do is I'm going to upgrade my vineyard to the other side. It costs 15, as you can see here, to upgrade it to the other side. So I've got a 20. I'm going to give that back to the bank and get some change. And now upgrading it like that means that now every time I get resources, I can get 2 extra luxury goods.
I'm going to buy Molehill.
Oh, okay. Okay, so that is how you play a game of Raccoon Tycoon. So you keep going around and taking turns, and the end of the game is triggered by either the final of the railroad deeds being auctioned off or the final town being purchased. When that happens, you finish turns until everyone has gotten the same number of turns. So since Lynn went first, if she triggered the end of the game, I would still get 1 more turn before it was over. And then we count up points. And the way scoring works in this game is that first you get points based on the number of railroad deeds you have of a particular type. So if you take a look here down at the bottom of the Fat Cat deed, you'll see that 1 Fat Cat is worth 3, a set of 2 Fat Cats are combined worth 7, 3 are worth 12, and if you manage to get all 4, it is worth 19, a whopping 19 points. And that is how many points that set will be worth. In addition, the towns are worth a number of points from 2 to 5. And then if you have, for each railroad deed you can match up to a town, you get a bonus 2 points. In addition, you get 1 point for each building you have built. And at the end of the game, if there is a tie, whoever has the most money is the tiebreaker. And that's it. That's how you play a game of Raccoon Tycoon. It's really that easy. So now we're going to head back over. We're going to talk about how this game plays and how it feels. And we're going to rate it and review it. Okay, welcome back. So that was how you play a game of Raccoon Tycoon. It really is that easy. And we decided to do a 2-player version because we both quite liked it at 2 players. I think it's equally good at every player count. Lynn, you said you preferred it at 2.
Yeah.
So we wanted to show the 2-player version because we both agree that that version is quite good. So, okay, let's start with some negatives. Lynn, what are some of your negatives for Raccoon Tycoon?
Well, there's that one deck that doesn't have a place on the board. It seems nitpicky, but...
I'm thinking that's pretty nitpicky. Yeah, most things have a place on the board. There's one deck that has to sit off the board. There's an extra deck in here, too, that's got an optional rule in it that also would be off the board.
Yeah.
But that seems a little nitpicky to me because that's a very minor gripe. All right,
yeah, it just seemed like the board had a space for everything except that one deck.
Except that one deck.
And I was just like, why?
Okay. I do think there's certain very powerful buildings. This is a bit of a negative and a positive, where there's certain very powerful buildings that if you get a hold of can really give you a huge leg up. Now, there's enough of them that I don't think it's that bad, because if a lot of people are doing a lot of buying of buildings, then lots of them will come up. But like if you're not doing enough buying of buildings and one person grabs like the only one that comes up, that could be an issue. But again, I think that's really, like I said, there are enough of those very powerful buildings that's not too bad. That's a minor gripe for me. How about you? Any others?
I don't think so.
No. All right, so I don't have. I mean, I'm again. This is another one of those games where it is so well designed and so well play tested and thought out and revised again and again, so that there's not really many issues at all. I mean, I feel like I'm grasping at straws here, trying to come up with something negative. I mean, how about you? Do you feel the same?
Yeah.
Okay. So, yeah. So that's, I mean, all right. So let's talk about some things we really like in this game. So you go first. What's something that you think is a big thumbs up for Raccoon Tycoon?
Well, I just like any game where you get to move a lot of bits and exchange bits, and
So you love the Euro-ness
I
of
like
it.
touching bits.
You, are you saying you enjoy the Euro nature of it?
Yes.
That it's got very little. I know you're a big fan of games that have very little player interaction and are much more just about like resource management and stuff. So I enjoy the resource management quite a bit in this. I also really like the commodities speculation. I love that you're building up commodities in your stockpile and trying to get the ones that you think are going to be worth the most, based on what you see your opponents doing and also based on what cards you have in your hand, because they can raise the values. I love that. I think the commodity speculation in this is one of the best economic mechanics I've ever seen in any game. It's fantastic. I really love it. So yeah, big thumbs up for me on that mechanic right there. What about, like, what do you think about the set collecting, trying to get sets of railroads and towns to get the points and all that?
I like set collecting.
I was going to say, I know you're a big fan of that. That's why I wanted to bring it up. The set collecting is really good. I'm a fan both of the larger bidding mechanic in the 3 through 5 player games and even the truncated bidding that goes on in 2-player games, but I know you greatly prefer.
Yeah, I don't really enjoy bidding in games, but the 2-player one, I mean, it didn't
feel like bidding.
I didn't really hate it.
It didn't, well, and that's,
which I normally hate bidding.
Yeah, I was going to say, so I think that was the big mechanic that was holding you back from liking it at 3 or more players, but we tried it at 2, and then you were like, oh, this isn't like bidding. And you were just like,
you just have to say like an obnoxious number, and then the other person's like, oh.
never mind. I was going to say, I think one of our games, the final one, which was going to give you a full set of that
Top Dog.
Yeah, you bid like over $100 on it.
I bid $112. It was everything I had left.
And you got it. I couldn't even outbid that. It wasn't possible. So I was like, yeah, that's yours. So I think that's kind of cool. I like how they did the shorter version of the bidding, because I don't think the full bidding would have worked in 2 players. And I think the shorter version actually is quite good. I find it very enjoyable. I want to say at least as enjoyable as the larger bidding mechanic, but on a smaller scale, if not more. And I know you're more. Obviously more. Okay, so what else we got here? We got set collecting. Oh, we got a bit of engine building with buying the buildings.
And the buildings affect how many commodities you get.
Yes, because each building allows you to hold an extra commodity. And then there's some special buildings that have special abilities that allow you to hold even more. Like the warehouse lets you hold 3 extra commodities, plus the one you get for it just being a building. So it actually lets you hold 4 extra commodities. So it lets you build up more before doing a sell-off and selling for lots and lots of money, because you can only sell for one type of resource at a time, and there's no way you're going to have only one type of resource. I mean, those cards really don't let you get a hold of just one type. You can specialize by getting those buildings that let you get extra of certain resources, so you have the most of that resource, but you're going to have other types, and you're going to want to diversify, because once you sell off, the value of that commodity goes way down. It takes a while to build it back up, so you're going to want to diversify. I find it very very advantageous to have a few different of those buildings that give you extra resources, so you can switch gears when one of those resources is doing really well but another is not. It can be very beneficial. And the abilities in those buildings, the engine building, that is awesome. Like you love to get your hands on that one where it gives you 5 money every time an auction happens, because there's always tons of auctions. So you just use that to like get you extra money. Like, oh, another auction, give me 5. Oh, another auction. Even the ones you win, you're like, oh, and I'll take 5 back.
Well, sometimes I'm like, oh, I need money. Let's hold an auction.
Because if you can get, I was gonna say, it's always going to cost you at least a little bit, because I don't think I think the cheaper ones are like around $4 or $5, somewhere around there. So It's hard to make money on that, but it is.
Yeah.
But when other people win it, you'll make money on it. So there is that. So yeah, is there anything else we should talk about with Raccoon Tycoon? We should talk about how easy this game is to teach and learn.
Oh.
So this game, now, it's a very fast game. We mentioned that earlier. This game is, once you get into this, halfway through your first game, you're going to be doing your turns lickety-split. Because every turn is one action. One action, next person goes. And the actions are really fast to do. It's like, oh, I get resources and I raise the value of some of them. Oh, I sell resources, I get money and I reduce the value of that resource. Oh, I buy a building, I put it in front of me, done. Oh, I call an auction, we do the auction, done. You know, it's all very quick. Or buy the town, I think, is the only other action I think I didn't mention. But buying a town is one of the fastest. It's like, oh, I trade in a couple of wood and I get that town. So the game is super fast. It's super quick and easy to teach and super quick and easy to learn. I would put this on the heavier end of lightweight, lighter end of medium weight, somewhere around there. I think maybe lighter end of medium. What do you think?
Yeah.
But where it is, it's quite easy to teach this game. It's just sort of like you pick one of these 5 things and you do it. And these are the 5 things that you can do. And none of them are severely complicated. So it's very, very easy. This is a good one to just yank out anytime during game night. Whether you're with friends or family, you can just yank this out and play it. It's very easy to get going on. Anything else you wanted to add with Raccoon Tycoon?
I don't think so.
Okay, so now we're going to rate it and review it. What do you think? Do you want to go first or second?
Go second.
You want to go second? Okay. So I'm going to give Raccoon Tycoon 8 stars out of 10. This game is awesome. I really enjoy it. I want to play this at every player count, though I know that I'll most often get to play it at 2, because that's where Lynn likes it best. So because of that, because of how enjoyable the 2-player version is, and how much I do enjoy it actually just as much as the 3, 4, and 5 players, it doesn't feel like one of those where they stuck 2 players on it and you don't really have a functional 2-player version. It really does function in 2 players. I gotta give this 8 out of 10 stars because it's fantastic. It's super fun. The engine building is fun. The set collecting is fun. The bidding is fun. The stock manipulation, the commodities speculating and manipulation is amazing. Absolutely adore that. That's my favorite part of this game. And but for all that, I'm giving this 8 stars out of 10 because I really like this game a lot. Your turn.
I'm going to give it 8 as well.
Oh, okay. So you're right there with me. Total agreement. Now, I'm guessing that you would have been if we had separated out ratings for more than 2 players and 2 players, you would have been lower on the more than 2 players.
Yes.
But now that's mainly, and that's a personal preference thing, though, right?
Yes.
Because it's just because of the betting.
I just don't like auctions. Yeah.
So that's really the only thing. I mean, and that's a personal preference thing. So like auctioning is a big part of this. If you play it at any player count other than 2, so if you're not a fan of auctions, be aware of that bidding is a big part of this game. Other than that, though, if anything that we talked about when talking about Raccoon Tycoon sounds interesting or fun, we can highly recommend this game to you. I mean, this is 16 total stars between the 2 of us here at the Board Game Captain. This is a 2 thumbs way up review from us. We really enjoyed this. The production is fantastic. The artwork is beautiful. The game is fun. I mean, what else do you want? I mean, looks beautiful,
Apparently
plays great.
You want coins. That's what you want.
Well, maybe. Yeah, I forgot to mention that earlier. I'm a little iffy on the paper money, but you do need a lot of money, so I don't think it's that big a deal.
Yeah.
But other than that, yeah, I think this is great. I think this is absolutely beautiful work of art of a game. This is a fantastic game. So there you have it. If you have any comments, questions, or concerns, either on Raccoon Tycoon or this video, feel free to put them in the comments down below. If you enjoyed this review and tutorial and you'd like to see us do more like it, be sure to give it a like, share it on all forms of social media, and if you haven't already, please subscribe to the Board Game Captain. That's Captain spelled with a K on YouTube. And if you're in a position to and would like to help out the channel, you can join our Patreon. It's in the description down below. Or there is also a link in the description down below to our merch store over at Teespring. I'll show some pictures of some of our merch up on the screen now, so you can see what kind of stuff we're selling. Mugs, shirts, and even a sticker. And pretty soon we're going to be doing a video on all the merch when our initial copies of each of it arrive. We're gonna show them off and show you guys what we've got. So until next time, game on.